actually produce. But luckily to this point, the only report we've had of anything that kind of resembles damage came from up around northern Union County near Highway 115 earlier on. I mean, I show lots of rotation in all these thunderstorms here into Alabama, including this one, and now between the Macedonia and Reform communities there, moving in a northward direction, eventually toward Millport, and eventually into Lamar County. There's a band there that we're tracking closely that we'll have to be cautious with, but luckily at this point, no warnings in effect for those locations. Resetting for a moment here, meteorologist Matt Laubhan alongside of our meteorologist John DeLusick as we continue coverage for tornado warnings in effect for a few locations. The number of locations less on those tornado warnings than what it was before, but certainly these storms, not a lot of lead time. But ones that we have to be careful of in particular. Certainly the Memphis area, there's a warning out that direction. We encourage you not to travel back that direction. Certainly if you live in Tupelo or Oxford, we want to try to keep you off the roads for some of those locations at this time because of this potential that some of these thunderstorms could show signs of rotation, could at some point try to produce tornadoes. It's just a situation we want to be careful of this afternoon. Tornado watch box continues for much of the area in effect until this evening at 8 p.m. Eventually we're going to see some folks canceled out of this, but this is all related to Harvey. You've heard about it, right? Big hurricane. Well, now it's a tropical depression. Now it's centered out here toward locations in Louisiana, pretty close to Greenville, actually, where I would put it as of the latest update that should come in here in just a little bit. And so even though we're well east of that, as it's drawing in moisture, you can see these lines of cloud cover that it develops, these what we call feeder bands right there that are kind of drawn into this. And so as it draws it in, it doesn't matter necessarily where the center is, it matters where that moisture feeding is. And then when it sets up these lines from time to time, that can then induce some spin, and that spin can briefly produce tornadoes from time to time. Not always the case, not in every scenario here, but I appreciate your patience as we try to dig through this at the same time that you're watching us dig through this at home. It's sometimes a little bit of a challenge, and there's less accuracy than when we're going with a typical tornado warning situation here. Storm track Doppler radar, the grittier version of it. What we're looking at here, a couple of areas that we're still watching, one to the west of Ecru there, and a couple up here near Blue Mountain and approaching the Ashland area under our 2 tornado warnings still in effect at this time. But south of all of this, we're also watching a batch here that's approaching Tupelo from the south. There's one also closer to the Fulton area, and both of these kind of lifting in the north in a northerly direction. We're positioning our meteorologist Joel Young to kind of get in here. We might bring him all the way to try to get in the precipitation and try to get between these so he has a shot of both of these. But there's a little rotation on the backside of both of these areas here that we're watching closely. One good way that we can look at that is out of our Tupelo Tower Cam. It's going to take it a second here to update, and we're looking into the rain. That's one of the challenges in this. Typically, storms don't move from the southeast toward the northwest, but they do in a tropical system. They are today, and so we're going to be looking through the heavy rainfall before we see something, any kind of lowering or something like that, that would try to come up there. But still a possibility that we could have one of those out of this thunderstorm here. Let's go back to the grittier version of storm track Doppler radar for a moment. So if that were the case, these still moving about that 25 mile per hour range. So let's go based upon halfway between Verona and Plantersville and a little southwest of Fulton, where we're going to track these from for a moment here. So let's go back to the watch warning map that we have at this time. And let's track those 2 areas of circulation, not tornado warnings at this point, but certainly something that we want to keep track of here. So the easternmost of those would be right about here, near the Abney community, close to the Evergreen, and the westernmost would be pretty close to Verona there. And neither one producing a tornado warning at this moment, no confirmation tornadoes, anything like that, but there's not going to be a ton of lead time. And so for the westernmost of these, Plantersville, we'd have it there in about 4 minutes, center part of Tupelo in about 12 minutes, the WTVA Studios in about 23 minutes there. Hey, and just the way I'm going to treat this, and I don't know if Mel is listening or anybody in the newsroom is listening, but there is not a tornado warning on this one, but I would like to see non-essential employees be moving towards shelter just in case something happens on this one. Part of the reason there's not a tornado warning is we haven't had as many, there haven't been as many reports on this. It's not oriented the same way typically is the case. But less than 23 minutes before an area of rotation that we're watching could get here in Saltillo closer to 31 minutes. I'm treating this carefully, and then the western of those two there near the Shiloh area be Abney right now, Mantachie about 25 minutes, maybe a little bit less than that. Centerville in about 30 minutes, in the Union community in about 30 minutes as well. Here's what we're looking at on radar here, and by no stretch of the imagination the most impressive returns, but you see that little area of rotation there, that little inflow area. That's what we're watching moving up into the Tupelo area, and this is the one that we're watching for I-22, which it should be crossing within about the next 10 minutes or so. This continue to move in, and my location on that might be just a little bit slow. I'm gonna see if I can get the wind mode back up here on Storm Track Doppler radar, kind of the grittier version, one that you can of course check out at home too. And there's our area of rotation near the Verona area moving northward. So this is going to track along US 45, the one here more in a remote area that will move closer, pretty close to the Lee and Itawamba County line. Addressing our tornado warnings at this point, we continue to have one in effect for Tippah County. This tornado warning here still has 38 minutes as of the latest update here. Shows the rotation near the Blue Mountain area, continuing to lift northward. And I'm going to double check those Tupelo times here in a second. I feel like they're a little slow. Blue Mountain there, moving toward the north and west. Speed on this, I would say obviously Blue Mountain now, and continuing to move at about 25 miles per hour. You can hear kind of in the background here as the heavy rainfall picking up at our location. That's that big red area that we are tracking moving toward the Tupelo area at this time. And behind the scenes, let's find out where Joel is, just so we make sure that we're looking at the right thing there with him. I'm going to go back to the grittier Storm Track Doppler radar, and we keep disconnecting here with some of the Wi-Fi issues that we have. And here is the latest update, a couple of areas where we have some inflow and a little bit of rotation. I'm going to see if I can get this to actually loop for you on the air. I only need a couple images for that to happen. And by the way, this is the tornado warning that we anticipated coming, now coming down in the last couple of moments here for two tornado warnings, Itawamba Lee and Lee Pontotoc Union counties for these storms. So these are the storms that we've been tracking for the last few minutes here. Now the National Weather Service in Memphis is going ahead and issuing tornado warnings on this. So this means that if you live, and this is why we started sending folks behind the scenes here to shelter a little bit ago, let's make sure they all go. In fact, let's make sure everybody except John and I are down there. Actually, take that back. John, shelter, everybody, go. Circulation tightening up a little bit on this thunderstorm here. No, John, I want you gone. I want everybody gone. Circulation tightening up a little bit here on this storm. Tornado sirens going off in Tupelo as this continues to move in. Let's go back to the
in a sturdy structure on the lowest floor away from windows now.
Well, there's the WTVA weather app, and you can hear what it's coming up with there. That means control room as well, by the way. Let's make sure we're in our. Let's send everybody, and I'm probably going to follow suit here in a minute. Okay, we have Joel shot. Where's Joel at? Where's he at? 22 headed toward Tupelo. You're looking at our meteorologist, Joel Young. He is watching the rotating part of this thunderstorm here that's prompted this tornado warning. The rotation continuing to increase. We're looking, let's go back to the gritty version of Storm Track Doppler radar. There's our rotation right there. And that is on a track that at some point brings it pretty close to the TV station. It probably takes it a little bit to the west, not by a lot. Unfortunately, we're done. We're with the gritty version of this for now. There are two areas, and I'll zoom this out a little bit. Two areas of circulation here we're watching. One near Mantachie. I'm going to go over to that for a moment. We're going to come back. We're going to hold on to Tupelo for a little bit before we do our due diligence here. Let's go to the Mantachie storm. This moving northward. The speed on this close to about 25 miles per hour. I'm going to specifically track that storm there. Mike, do we have his audio? Let's get Joel's audio from here so we can talk to him. He's actually going to be in a safe enough spot that, Kelly, what I want from you is I want you to get another microphone set up in case I need to leave that on because it's in range. And Joel, are you with me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So here's what's going to happen here in a minute. I'm probably going to have to toss to you because I'm probably going to have to go take shelter here in a minute. And my mic may or may not stay up as we get out of range there in shelter. So I'm probably in that scenario. I want to make sure we have another mic ready so I can leave that here and Joel can talk us through because he is in a...
Let me ask you real quickly. I'm pulled over on the side of the interstate. I'm almost to the McCullough exit. I've already passed Sherman. I'm like basically right on the Lee County line.
Okay.
Do we need to continue going straight, or should I think this will cross the interstate somewhere near Coley and 22, correct?
I agree. So I don't know that I want you to come much farther east. I know for a vantage point it'd be great, but I want to keep you safe. And when I go to shelter, which is coming, I want to make sure that you're in the right spot that we can do it. So I would stay there. And actually, if you feel like you need to migrate west a little bit, let's do that. Okay?
All right. I don't know how we'll be able to do that without getting up to McCullough.
Yeah. You're going to be close. You'll know whether you're looking at the same radar. You have your location on there. Just be safe with it, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we have, and I'm going to pop up our Tupelo Tower Cam because I'm starting to see a little. Now I want to do it over here, and we're looking back toward the areas of rotation. Let's go ahead and make sure we are looking the correct direction here. We're looking southeast. There's our rotation. Oops, I went just a little too far. There's our lowering right there. So this is the lowering, the rotation we're catching, the clear slot there. This is what's moving into Tupelo right now. We're finally getting out of the heaviest rainfall and we have a shot of this. If this is going to produce a tornado, it's along that bottom there that we're going to watch that potential for it to happen. So I'm going to put our cam here into super slow mode and we're going to zoom it in really closely. We're going to watch the bottom of this cloud as it moves over top of Tupelo. We're looking now toward the south and east out of our Tupelo Tower Cam here. The visibility, not great on this. I'm going to see if I can turn the contrast a little darker. Tornado warning continues for Lee County, and certainly if you live in Tupelo proper, we need to make sure that you are in your tornado safe place. Itawamba, Lee counties, as well as Union County under tornado warning because of this. Maybe there's a little bit of hail mixed in, but the rotation is the reason why this has been issued, and this is the area we're watching. This entire wall cloud here is the area we're watching. I still have distance between the bottom of the cloud and this and the ground. And so luckily at this point, this is a tense situation, but fortunately at this moment I still show rotation, but I do not show on this ragged wall cloud a tornado. I'm going to see for just a moment if I can look back east and catch for just a second the storm that's out toward Mantachie. If I have a viewpoint of that, we're going to be looking through a lot of raindrops here, so there's no guarantees I've got that. And fortunately, I still see ragged wall cloud, and this is going to be something I can probably see. I'm not sure if you can make out there, but I don't see connection, but the raindrops are going to prevent me having a really great shot of that, unfortunately. So we're going to watch this coming into the population center. You can hear in the background here that the rainfall has dropped off here at the TV station. That is very low. So you have a...
So you know my shot is up.
Okay, we're probably not going to go to it for a little bit. Foreground here, here's the rotation. Let me watch this really closely with you at home, see how much uplift I see. I definitely see it. Clear slot here. So it's either going to be this area here in the foreground where we could possibly try to drop that tornado, or right along there. So what we're looking, it's amazing to hear the rainfall come in and shut off like it is. But right there, that is where it's trying to produce a tornado in the middle part of your screen there. at the edge of that wall cloud. If this is going to produce a tornado, you're looking at it, and you're looking live on WTVA, online and on air. This could be the potential. We are looking pretty close to 45. Honestly, this is pretty close to Tupelo proper there. And let me get my roadways right there. I believe that is West Main Street that we are looking at there. We have a tornado on the ground just for a second there. Did you see how we had that ground circulation for a moment there? See how it's trying to pick up? I believe that we have either a tornado on the ground or we are close to that there. Yes. You see that violent rotation there? Tornado on the ground on the just east of US 45. This is our Tupelo Tower Cam looking toward the south. Bottom of your screen there, I can see a little bit of a connection possibly as well. My exact location on this isn't going to be perfect because of our viewpoint there, but you can see intense rotation both directions and a couple areas there where that's trying to spin it up. So I believe that actually, I take that back. That is I-22 there. Boy, it's trying to jump around on me. Yes. Kelly, I need you to go for a minute here, if you would. And we'll stay on this shot here, and we're just gonna, Joel, let me check that foreground there. There's a lot of scud being lofted up into this. You might have a better viewpoint than I do at this point. Do you see, from your perspective, any ground connection to that scud or tornado?
Right now, I'm looking at scud, and I'm still looking. Basically, I'm trying to figure out which way I'm looking. I'm actually right on the Lee Pontotoc County line, looking straight. So I'm probably going to need to go up a little bit farther. Don't you agree?
I do. Lee Pontotoc County line. I mean, you're gonna be able to see the open slot of this, and you'll be able to be in the clear sector.
I'm not seeing as much of a darkening or a lowering here. I'm not seeing a very good. If I go up a little bit more, I might be able to look back to the north.
Okay, you know what you're looking for. You have a better vantage point of what you're looking at than I do. Get in the right spot, and I'll trust you on that one there. It looked like we briefly had a ground connection or a brief tornado touchdown out of our Tupelo Tower Cam there near the US 45 area. Was it lofted scud? Hard to say. I can't not say for sure that we didn't have some debris on it. I mean, there's a ton of moisture on these, so they're very, very low hanging, but certainly we need to be in that tornado safe place if you live in Lee County on this. If we had better radar data, I'd be relying a little more on that. We're getting pretty close to the point where I need to do something behind the scenes here a little more, but this doesn't look as connected as it was just a moment ago. Also confirmation from others of either a brief touchdown or possibly at least that scud lofting or a funnel cloud on this. This doesn't look nearly as organized as it did just a minute ago. You saw when we basically had ground connection there. I will say, right there is where I have this. If it's going to happen out of our Tupelo Tower Cam, we're looking right in. You see how quickly that air is going up into there, how it's lofting into that? Not impossible that if this tries to produce a tornado, that's where it's going to occur. You're looking live on WTVA News, WLOV, as we watch intense updraft into this. No guarantees that this isn't in contact with the ground there. Now we're looking toward the toward the east out of our Tupelo Tower Cam. This is going to be very near US 45 that this circulation continues to track. You're watching the possible generation of a tornado here live with us on WTVA News. I know as much as you do, except for you're probably smarter than I am and in your tornado safe place, and I'm playing a game of roulette here. So do as I don't do as I have done in the past, and make sure that you're in that tornado safe place. This quickly moving, now we're looking more toward, let me get my angle here, 48 degrees more northeast of the TV station. That is attempting, I mean, we're pretty close to a tornado if that isn't one at the moment there. It is darn close. Now, it's not as rapidly rotating as it possibly could be, and now we're starting to lose our vantage point of it because it's going to go into the tower. Yes, Joel. Joel, yes, go.
All right, we're looking from the McCullough Bridge. We're looking back toward the northwest. We should have a much better vantage from this perspective. We're at exit 81, McCullough and I-22 interchange here, and we're looking back toward the north and west.
Looking at this now, Joel, I mean, I would say that, and I'm going to go back to the tower cam. Okay, there's your shot there. So take it away for just a second here, Joel, while I get a couple other things behind the scenes organized. Joel, are you there? Joel, can you hear me? Joel? Joel?
Got me?
I can hear you now. I need, go ahead. Where are we looking? What are we looking at? Okay, it sounds like our meteorologist, Joel Young, is going in and out of cell service. That has been the MO today, unfortunately. The rotation that we're looking at, I'm going to go to the grittier version of Storm Track Doppler radar because we've now lost the vantage point out of our Tupelo Tower Cam here. Let's go to the gritty version. And so now we're talking approaching the Saltillo area. I mean, our TV station, if I were to put on my spotter thing, that's where we're at. So the rotation, there's US 45, tracked along very near US 45. Now this is heading toward my house for the sitter at home, which might still be my wife. Pretty close to overtop the house. Highly recommend. I know we're well enough. They're in their safe place. But it's always unnerving. Let's get his shot. Let's get Joel's shot back up here. Yes, I have your shot. Where are we looking?
We're looking toward the north. You're looking at the Loves McDonald's, that truck stop there at McCullough and 22. We're looking back toward almost due north at this point.
Yeah, you have the vantage point right we don't have. Yeah, go for it.
You can see exactly what I can see there. Also, is it a little foggy?
I don't worry about that. It is good enough at this point because it gives me a shot. So this is that lowering that he was looking at there that we watched on our Tupelo Tower Cam, and that possible funnel that we had a moment ago. Still in that maybe perhaps was it a tornado zone, but luckily according to some of the folks in the newsroom here, no reports of damage in Tupelo with this. By the way, at the TV station, we can come out of shelter. And let's bring John back, bring everyone back in here for a moment. But we're in good shape, so that is pretty good vantage point. It is a little foggy, Joel. If you clean that up,
Okay.
we'll use that, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm back in here streaming. John, I appreciate it. Everyone at home, okay?
Everything's good.
Everything good at home? Okay. Let's go back to the grittier version of Storm Track Doppler radar for a moment here.
Any better?
Yeah. Can. Thank you. Using technical equipment there to clean it, but always necessary. Let's go back to the grittier version of Storm Track Doppler radar for a moment here. What I want you to do, Joel, is I want you to hold on that shot, Joel, for another two or 3 minutes, and then I want you to rotate southeast, go down 45. Let's check and see closer to the. I want us to go exploring to make sure we didn't have a little damage there.
I got you.
All right.
I'll hold this shot for a few more minutes and head back.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you. I'm gonna go wide here, make sure we don't have anything sneaking up on us. We don't at the moment, thankfully. The storm north of Mantachie, and I apologize, we haven't been in as close on this, prompting I believe this one prompting a new tornado warning. There's at least a new tornado warning coming out here in a moment that does include Prentiss County. I believe it would be this storm here that is coming out for in effect until 2:15 p.m. moving toward the north and west. We're having some data issues here at the TV station. Fortunately, though, we do have the latest scan up here that we're looking, and so that heading in the direction that could take it toward Baldwin. Let's get a couple of storm tracks on here, and unfortunately we are challenged with a few data issues, so we're going to have to go based upon correlation between one radar and another. So the storm track on this one, give me a moment here. There we are. Okay. So the rotation that may or may not have, that certainly produced a funnel cloud, may or may not have produced a tornado in the eastern part of Tupelo. No reports of damage at this point from that, but Frog Island right now, pretty close to my house. Graves in 15 minutes, Halltown 28, Molino in 40 minutes, and the Dumas area in 48 minutes, assuming it's still going about that 25 miles per hour. The storm that is approaching the Lee-Itawamba County line that has now prompted a new tornado warning, and I'll get that come on the screen there, in effect until 2:15 p.m. Does include Boonville. This one we haven't had as many reports on, but most certainly is a storm that has shown significant signs of rotation. Let's go to a storm track. I would put it very near County Road 2538 in a direction that takes it toward Wheeler. Pratt's Community in 14 minutes, Wheeler in 31 minutes, Boonville in 42 minutes. Rotation that at some point could potentially be a tornado, or might be producing a tornado. Unfortunately, we're not going to have a good...
Back southeast toward Tupelo now.
Okay, thank you, Joel. I appreciate that. Actually, hold the shot just a second. Just a second. Let's take the shot one more time. Let's just double check the vantage point there. He's looking, and he's going to move a second, and he's going to put it right back.
Seek shelter in a sturdy structure on the lowest floor, away from windows now.
And that's my WTVA weather app there. So Joel's trying to get another shot. We'll hopefully get that back here in just a moment. The eastern of those tornado warnings, as you can see, Boonville, we need to be our tornado safe place now, but at this track, about 40 minutes or so for you until it makes its way into your area. To reset things for a moment, first off, what we know. No reports of damage in Tupelo yet. Phone's not blowing up with a lot of stuff. Well, okay, it is blowing up with a lot of reports coming in now in the last couple moments here on Twitter, but I have a feeling that has more to do with the fact I'm not in my grittier mode of Storm Track Doppler radar at the moment. John, I'm going to bring you in here for a moment. Obviously, you've come back from shelter. You're looking at some of these reports coming in on Twitter and Facebook. Have you seen anything?
I have not seen any damage. That is good news. A lot of reports of, obviously, the lowering of the cloud cover. Was it a tornado or was it not a tornado? But, again, a lot of pictures of that cloud, that storm that now is moving northward. Again, but the good news is no reports of any damage anywhere from this one. So that's, again, a good bit of news.
Yeah, that's excellent news there, John. I appreciate that. We'll check in with the newsroom here if we can in a second. We'll try to get somebody with some of these social media reports so that we can get them on the air, and let's get that established here in a minute if we can, please. We are dealing with some data issues here at the TV station, which is always fun. Joel is repositioning from your vantage point. Have you seen anything that resembles damage? Joel, you're there?
One more time.
I was just checking to see if you've had any reports of damage coming in the last few minutes here.
Get back on the interstate. We are at Barnes Crossing in Coley. We're about to get back on the interstate right now. We're trying to backtrack and just see if we have any damage. Let me ask you, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but tell me about where on the interstate, if it crossed the interstate, where did it cross? At 45?
It would be near the intersection of 45 and the interstate. I would say just slightly east, and south is probably the more likely location where.
Basically, right exactly where the one in 2014 crossed.
Yes, except for a different angle. It would have crossed pretty close to that, but it would have come at a different angle. By the way, I think we actually have a decent shot here out of our Tupelo Tower Cam. This is that storm that is north of Mantachie. We're looking a long ways away to get this, but I feel like this is actually a pretty reliable shot of that, of the inflow part of that. We're going to see it bouncing around because we're zoomed in quite a bit there. Most of what you see in the foreground here is what we would call scud cloud, so it is not the kind of stuff that is imminently a tornado, but right there is that lowering that we would be looking at on that storm that's a little bit farther east there. So we're watching this. We're obviously not going to have as good of an ability to see this as we might have in other scenarios, but hopefully. I'm checking social media here. We're double checking. You know, what I want to establish right now is first and foremost, A, did we have a tornado touchdown? B, is it possible then, because it was about as strong as any storm we've had today, what does that then mean for other thunderstorms that we have and their potential to try to produce a tornado? So that's what we are trying to establish, the newsroom doing its thing, making sure that happens. And because y'all know me and y'all know my daughter and my son, safe place selfie from the family, everybody's alive. So I had to check that. Just what I had to do. Okay, so give me a moment here. We'll get back to the radar, Storm Track Doppler radar, its latest positioning on these thunderstorms there. Continue to move it into more rural sections of locations, I mean, west of Marietta there, heading in the direction that might clip Baldwin and eventually Boonville there. One of those two areas, a more significant rotation that we're still watching at this point. Current time is 1:29 p.m. Meteorologist Matt Laubhan here alongside meteorologist John DeLusick. Tornado warnings, we have 3 of them for 2 storms in particular that we're watching. They're also watching the folks at the Weather Service, a storm that's in Yalobusha, as well as Tippah counties. The tornado warning that moved through the Tupelo area that we're still trying to figure out, did it touch down or was it just really, really close? This one here that's now probably, I put it near the Graves community, the Birmingham Ridge area, just a little east of where that's showing up here on our map. That's where it is continuing to move in a northerly direction. Joel's trying to get a better shot of that. The other thunderstorm we have the shot of our Tupelo Tower Cam is this one here that I would position very near the county line, if not right over top of the county line. I'd say just north of the Natchez Trace Parkway and the intersection of Prentiss, Lee, and Itawamba counties. That is the area where that circulation is probably at this point. So let's track it based upon that latest location there toward the north. Get a new time if we can. Pratt's community, I've spoken to some of the folks out there before. 6 minutes for you. Wheeler, 22 minutes. Let's extend this a little farther. And then we're going to get to our meteorologist, Joel Young, here with another update. This clips, as you can see, the Wheeler area, and for whatever reason, this is keeping it just barely west of Boonville. I want a time on Boonville, the next big population center, relatively speaking, in the path of this. And Boonville, we'd be 33 minutes or a little bit less.
To tell you, we're crossing over 45 now, heading east on 22. At what point, when you said that it looked like there might have been some sort of connection on the ground, where would you have said that it would have taken place?
A little south. I mean, it's hard to say, but I would say a little south.
We head south on Veterans.
If you headed south on Veterans, I would say it's somewhere in that zone there where it's pretty close. Like, you're generally in the zone there. I know it's just going to be kind of looking around trying to find it, unfortunately. You're gonna be able to kind of look around and probably have a better chance. I would also try to interface a little bit with John on that. He'll be able to kind of pull up and look at a few other things that hopefully will help us out. That work? With that in mind, let me give you to John for just a moment here so he can touch base with you on that. Current time 1:32 p.m. We're looking toward the storm near the Kirkville area. And trying to figure out exactly what we have on this thunderstorm here. Give me a moment while I'm figuring out a few other things in the behind-the-scenes zone here. This is 48. That one is old. Let's just get rid of that because that is killing our data. By the way, the Wi-Fi data continues to be a significant bottleneck. If we can try to stay off of the internet data as much as possible, that certainly wouldn't hurt the situation at all. Let's see if this connects back here. Now, latest update coming in just a moment ago to the tornado warning, and this is the storm we're looking into here. The damage tag on this, believe it or not, okay, by the way, Alicia with the city of Tupelo, no reports of damage to this point. Hopefully it stays that way, but it is a situation here that, hold on, caller says trees down. Houston community of Itawamba County. Okay, and with that storm, the Houston community of Itawamba County, that is the storm here that we're tracking closer to the Boonville area. There are indications in the last couple of minutes here that this storm could be producing a tornado at the moment that is ongoing as it moves into Prentiss County. The specific discussion, the tag from the folks at the National Weather Service in Memphis there is considerable on that potential that this could be producing damage. The information is that they are radar confirmed, and what that means is that debris mode on Storm Track Doppler radar is indicating the possibility that that could be producing debris at this moment. Tupelo Fire Department says no touchdown within the city limits of Tupelo on this. Some good news there. I'm going to check with John DeLusick for a second. John, you're on social media. What do you have?
Nothing, no damage. Just a lot of pictures of obviously cloud cover, and that's
Is John's mic dead or is it on?
Sorry about that.
Okay, hold on. He'll get it on in a second here.
Okay, we have nothing that's showing up in ways of damage, but just a lot of ominous cloud cover just recently taken from folks in Mantachie on 363. And again, the good news is no damage. And just talking to Joel here, he's going down Veterans right now, and so far he's all the way gone from 22 all the way down to Veterans Park almost, and not seeing any kind of damage yet. So
Okay,
that's good news.
not seeing any kind of damage. Okay, that's good news there. Hopefully we keep it that way. Hey, question for anybody over there. Any of you got a Wi-Fi hotspot? And by that I mean give me your phone.
I'm trying to get on one of our Wi-Fi. It is not working.
Okay. Okay. I looks like I do again possibly have a shot here that we can get on Apple TV now that I have a loop. Let's get this considerable damage storm on here for a moment. So give me just a moment here to get this back on. We're looking at Prentiss County, far eastern portion of Prentiss County that we're looking at. And on the grittier version of Storm Track Doppler radar, we show this just a little northeast of Marietta, between Marietta and Baldwin, the area that we're most concentrating on at this point. And that's the storm that moved through Tupelo earlier on. Luckily, no reports officially at this point of any tornadoes or anything like that out of this. And this is the one to the north and east of Marietta that is moving toward Boonville that may or may not be producing a tornado at this instant. And so I certainly want you to take the opportunity to take those tornado safety rules seriously if you can, and certainly should. Let's track this at about 25 miles per hour from its current position. Let's track it toward Boonville and Wheeler. Wheeler, we're now at 11 minutes. Boonville, we're at 22 minutes. This is a storm that, at this point, we feel fairly confident produced a little bit of damage. Highway 366 and County Road 5334 in Prentiss County. Report there of some debris and small trees. Did you get that, Melvin? Did you get that? So it'd be Highway 366 and County Road 5334, Prentiss County. Report at least of some damage in that area there. Yes, John?
Anywhere for Joel to go ahead next.
Give me a second while I assess the whole situation, reset for a moment here, make sure there's not something else that we're missing down to the south. So we've had our band kind of fill in, the next feeder bands kind of fill in back, Louisville, Eupora, Bruce there, and another one back here toward West Point, Houston. Then obviously the two that we have close at hand. Yeah, Joel, I want you going up 45.
The accident is a bad accident?
I want him going up 45 if he can.
There's an Main Street and 45, there's an accident, just for
Main Street, where?
Main Street and 45.
Main Street and 45?
Yeah, just 45
so
bypass.
he's already down
Yeah.
there. So we're probably too late to get back up toward Baldwin, and that's where we should have been going. And if I had better radar, I would have been smart enough to send him there.
Okay.
You might have one. Now let me think.
Okay, on ramp northbound. There's an accident?
Problem is I'm not going to be.
Okay.
Find out with them if they can get that hooked into one of the Wi-Fi router. No, I don't know if that'd work. I don't know.
I'll ask.
Thank you. Data. Have to love it. New tornado warning issued for the storm that moved through Tupelo earlier that does include sections of, if he can get northward toward Boonville, I'd love to have him.
He says if you can go northward toward Boonville,
Try to get back in front of that one there. New tornado warning 215 that does include, shocker, sections of Tippah County again, Union County now, of course, eastern Union County, Prentiss, as well as you can see just barely clipping a sliver there of Lee County. Still radar indicated tornado on this one, still working to assess just the intensity of that at this time. Storm Track Doppler radar, we go to the grittier version of that. And so that continues to show some of those areas of rotation there. One that's north and east of Baldwin, another one that is near the Guntown, actually just west of Guntown. So this would be a little north of 348 there, tracking in the direction of Dumas. I would say that as far as populated locations go, it's pretty close. I would say that's the one that moved through Tupelo. It's a little north of 348 now at this point there, but heading toward Dumas. And then this is the one that's going to track closer to the Boonville area, and so might be just a little east of that, but certainly that one, more of a likelihood that that could be producing a tornado of the two. I'm going to take a chance here. Hello? Nope. Okay. Let's see if we can pan that south, make sure we're not going to get caught off guard by another one. We almost did with this one. Luckily, we caught it before the tornado warnings came out. Let's check some of these other thunderstorms here farther south. Anytime you get what we've kind of had, you have some jittery folks, naturally. This band here between Woodland there and 45 alternate, getting a little more interesting, but not at that point yet where we're fully at that level. Give me a moment here while I try to check that on the way to Boonville there. Okay. So first off, luckily, here's what we know. We've only had a few reports of damage, though we did get one report out of this thunderstorm here when it was down in sections at Itawamba County. And certainly that radar return we're looking at, a storm track Doppler radar, is intense enough that we definitely have to, I mean, I'm concerned about it. I mean, this is likely an area where we probably still have either intense rotation or a tornado ongoing at this moment, moving in the direction of US 45. So if you know folks that would be traveling along 45 between Boonville and Baldwin, we definitely need to discourage them from continuing along that route. As soon as anybody in the newsroom does want to give an update, even if it's some things that I've said, just to kind of reset that stuff, you give me a chance to concentrate on one of these things for a moment. National Weather Service expiring the tornado warning for Itawamba, Lee County. I know there's a couple involved here, so they're expiring this one that does include Saltillo and Tupelo and all those folks. They're expiring that here very shortly because obviously it is exiting there. This one moving toward Boonville, and it's going to be actually more on a line that takes it toward Jumpertown, easily one of our strongest at the moment. Let's go back and do a couple storm tracks here for a moment. So the one that we're looking at north and west of Guntown there, let's track that. And that one would, again, heading toward Dumas again. We've talked about you in multiple times today. Within 27 minutes for you, the Jericho community, 3 minutes. Drive those county roads a lot up there, so I know exactly where that is. I know there's some storm shelters there. Hopefully folks are already occupying those. And then, as we mentioned, 27 minutes into the Dumas area. The storm that is now east and northeast of Baldwin, I would place at this moment just north, right along pretty close highway, or County Road 5221 in Prentiss County. And actually, let's migrate that just slightly north of where I put that a second ago. I put my rotation possible tornado right there. Wheeler, obviously, in the path of this. Locations on the west side of Boonville as well. 8 minutes until the Wheeler community. Osborne Creek in 15 minutes, 27 minutes into the Gaston area. Storm report coming in just moments ago. We'll see if we can get it on the storm track Doppler radar here of some of the damage in Itawamba County from this, and it would be, came as of 1:30, hold on, at 1:39 p.m. Excuse me, that was the Prentiss County report of damage near Highway 366. You can see right there, and County Road 5334. So I mean, you're right in this zone here with that. That is where our report of damage was. That did include at least some trees down related to this. So that report of damage from that thunderstorm there, I would say that storm's got to be pretty close to Wheeler at this moment. I want to update our position here based upon that. And let's track that northward, get a slightly better, quicker track on this. So Wheeler within 3 minutes for you, Osborne Creek 11 minutes, the Blackland community, and about 15 minutes in Jumpertown, in about 26 minutes. This is a rotation, could be a tornado, have had reports of damage. Even though these are typically short-lived tornadoes, we want to be careful and prepare just in case. And you can see this is still a pretty hefty thunderstorm on Storm Track Doppler radar. Let me know in my ear when we're ready to do a quick news update. I believe we are. We'll go to our Craig Ford, who's monitoring the news end of this. As tornado sirens continue to sound in the city of Tupelo, Lee County has been removed from the tornado warning. And so quickly, what I want to just do, by the way, it's been allowed to expire. If you do live in Lee County, you can come out of that tornado safe place at this time. Our Craig Ford in studio with us. Craig?
Matt, just to sort of reset the situation, get an idea of what we're doing behind
the scenes as far as where we're going. We've got WTVA Shante Sumter, who is on her way to Itawamba County. We understand that somewhere along Highway 371 in Itawamba County, I believe it's the Houston community, we were told that there were some reports of damage, some trees possibly down on trailers or homes. We've also got WTVA's Simone Woolridge heading north toward the Baldwin-Boonville area. Obviously, you've been hearing Matt talk about the possibility of something going on in that area along Highway 45. As he mentioned earlier, there have been some storm reports coming in. 2 miles west of Marietta, debris reported, trees damaged at Highway 366 and County Road 5534. Now, we can also tell you that we have been in touch with law enforcement and with the fire department in the Tupelo area, in Tupelo proper, and we are told there have been no touchdowns, no damage reported whatsoever due to the severe weather passing through. And actually, if you were watching us on air earlier and you saw Matt guiding us through that live coverage as that system was moving through, that is typical of what we're seeing with the tropical system. These are not long track tornadoes that if you get under a tornado warning, you're not going to see a long track tornado if you get under one today. These are going to be quick spin up tornadoes, maybe an EF1, something like that. That could happen. And if you get under a warning, you still need to take precautions, whether it's an EF1 or an EF5. By the way, we mentioned yesterday in our news about the damage from a potential tornado outside of Hattiesburg in Petal. The Weather Service from Jackson was there today. They did confirm that was a tornado touchdown, an EF1. But again, with tropical systems, it's these quick spin-up tornadoes, and it doesn't take long. So that's why if you get under a tornado warning, you have to move quickly and take shelter, because it may not be a long track tornado, but it could definitely come down and do damage. And like I said before, as Matt was tracking through our high definition Tupelo Tower Cam, as you saw that system move across, that's what it could be. It could be something that just drops and there it is, and it could be gone in a minute or in a second. So when you hear those sirens, wherever you are, and actually we're hearing some in Lee County now, but from what we heard from Matt just moments ago, it's my understanding that the tornado warning is no longer in effect for Lee County. Right now we can tell you that as of 1:47, we have tornado warning in effect for Prentiss County until 2:15. Right now it is, according to the Weather Service, it is a radar indicated tornado. We're also told by law enforcement that there is rotation at Highway 30 West and Highway 145 South in Frankstown. Matt, we'll send it back to you.
Okay, that official confirmation of the tornado report there, as you can see beside me on Storm Track Doppler radar, one of many that we are watching at this time, because that thunderstorm, as Craig mentioned a moment ago, radar indicated the current mode on it, but it was previously producing a tornado when it was a little south of its current location. So it is near Wheeler, moving northward, still radar indicated rotation. It will be crossing US 45 very soon, and we'll be getting back with our meteorologist Joel Young here in a moment because of that. Now, John's been in constant communication with him, and we'll probably try to get his shot up here in a second. The other tornado warning that we're watching approaching the Dumas area, the one that moved over top of Tupelo, at this time, as you heard Joel, if you heard Craig say, luckily not a lot of reports of damage out of that one. In fact, no reports at this time, so hopefully that continues to be the case. That tornado warning in effect until 2:15. Our meteorologist Joel Young continuing to rotate into position on this. Joel, where are you at this moment?
All right, right now we are on 45 north, coming up on South Tiller. We're going under the National Strait.
Okay, and we had you poking around before. We want to make sure that we didn't have anybody we need to take care of and help out there first. No reports of damage from you where you were looking around?
We've seen no damage. We saw accidents, and there were already first responders coming up on the scene.
Okay. So that's good. We are getting reports out of the storm that you're going to intercept now. That's along 45 as it moves near the Boonville area. We do have reports that has caused some other damage. And Drew, I believe that was you in my ear a moment ago. If you would give me that report one more time. Okay, Highway 370 in Prentiss County near the Pratt's community, report of a trailer, a double-wide trailer that was overturned. That would have been this. Now, just as easily could have been the straight line winds rotating into this, but it definitely could be. Joel, that's your storm. And that's the storm we're going to...
headed for Boonville now.
Okay, we're gonna rotate you that direction. I appreciate that. Joel, be safe. We've kept you safe to this point. Don't speed. We don't want hydroplaning. Let's get there. Let's get there safely. Let's get back into position. I'm gonna assess everything else. Let's disconnect also, and when you get a little more in position, let's reconnect. I'm handing John the phone back again. Okay, that's our meteorologist Joel Young getting back into position as he's storm chasing. Storm chasing a tropical system is a moving target. Definitely, and it's hard to keep into exactly where you need to look on this kind of thing. But two areas that we're watching here, as we mentioned, the one that had at least confirmed a tornado has had multiple reports now, including that report of a double-wide trailer that was damaged, and that heading in the direction there of, well, it's going to head just a little south of Boonville near that Highway 30 interchange that you have there. That is where this is heading and should be there within the next couple of minutes. Looking at this, I'm also watching that one toward Dumas, and there's on the precipitation mode here a couple spots where that definitely is still wrapping up. Continuing tornado warning, the National Weather Service until 2:15 on this thunderstorm here because of that potential as it continues to move toward the north. Let's check and see if Maine internet is back, because they are working on that hard, and we are cooking again. Okay. Craig or Zach, would you start a Facebook Live on this one again and then plug this back into here, if you could, please? I appreciate it. Okay, so now you're looking at what we're looking at. We can have the exact spot. Okay, we're good. We're right near the Highway 30 interchange there, south of Boonville. That's the exact spot we're looking. Okay, so we were at least good on the other radar there. So there's Colt College. This is the area of rotation. This is the storm that has at least on a couple of occasions within the last 30 minutes produced damage. Let's look at the debris mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. And earlier we were saying hasn't produced. That right there was likely that tornado debris signature that we were talking about a moment ago there. So that is where it caused that damage, at least some tree damage there. Now, that signature south of Boonville is still showing up. Let me double check the location. We're looking right there. Okay, so let's look at the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. That's about where our interaction would be. Let's verify that with the precipitation mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. Give it a moment here for that to come up. That's about where we'd be watching, pretty closely right in there. So not impossible that either A, this is still producing a tornado, more likely that it still at least has some debris with this. In either case, we need to be in our tornado safe place if we live in Boonville proper. And that means these things. First off, let's define what we've had. We have had a tornado that at least has been spotted within the last 30 minutes. We've had debris that's been confirmed on radar and through storm reports. And we have rotation that is probably produced a tornado, if not is producing a tornado, and so we need to be in our tornado safe place if we live in Boonville proper. That means the lowest floor of a sturdy structure, turn up the volume on the TV, stay in the middle, wrap up in blankets and pillows, and as we mentioned, stay there until we can give you the all clear on this thunderstorm. The wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, while we're now getting some stuff around, I would typically hold a little longer with Boonville, but it's been so long since I've been able to check on this one really well. Approaching Dumas. Definitely showing still some strong rotation on this, maybe not quite as strong as the one over top of Boonville. Dumas, we're talking 8 minutes or less for you based on that current location. Rotation that could be a tornado. Let's check the debris mode on Storm Track Doppler radar on this one here. And it does not look like we have had debris, at least on the latest scans. Let's track this back toward the south and east. See if we have any clear-cut debris signatures that we've seen. I do not see one on here at this point, so that's a good sign. Hopefully that continues to be the case. Let's look at the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. And let's trace that back. Boy, near 370 there, near Halltown in Union County. If we didn't, we got really close to something there, right there. And let's backtrack that, and then that's where we have our internet problem. Okay. Let's then now look at the whole area. Let's reset now that we have at least a moment here to really be able to take a moment here and look at this. We're going to come back to Chickasaw County in just a second. This is obviously over top of Boonville, so we really need to pay attention to that. But this is right over top of locations there in Boonville and Chickasaw County. Those are intensifying somewhat more. Just in the last few minutes here, that's going to be a little east of Houston, more on a track that take it between Okolona and Holka. We will get right back to that, I promise. This is Overtop of Boonville, now just a little north of Boonville near the Gaston community. I'm going to shorten my loop here to 30 minutes so that it doesn't kind of cut out like that. Okay, so right along 45, that's why our meteorologist Joel Young is safely traveling northward to get into this and going to hopefully stay just a little south of it. Strong winds definitely with this, some rotation. This is not as healthy as when it produced that tornado damage just a little bit earlier on. And so continues to move northward. Certainly, we want to keep you in a tornado safe place if you do live in Boonville for another few minutes. A lot of folks have Boonville addresses, might not live at the primary intersection that it signifies Boonville on our map here. And so anytime we do the storm track, it's that primary intersection that it pops up with there. And so this in effect until 2:15 p.m. current time, 1:54 p.m. as this moves toward the north and east. Let's go ahead and zoom back somewhat. Rotation still on this form of storm track Doppler radar showing up a little more intense on the storm near Dumas. Let's go to the wind mode on storm track Doppler radar. Definitely just a little east of Dumas there. South of County Road 602, 41 mile per hour pixel to pixel wind change. Could it be enough? We're far enough away from the radar site. Definitely could be. And we'll have to watch that tornado potential out of this. 37 minutes into Faulkner there. Obviously Dumas, we need to be in that tornado safe place at this instant. We promised we would head down to Chickasaw County, that's where we're going. That's our third most intense storm. We have two that have prompted tornado warnings, one that has not at this point. Let's look closer and see if that is forthcoming. These are all bands with Harvey, and it's a moving target. It changes really fast. And so let's shorten this to a half-hour loop. They are it's certainly as intense as it's been. Let's check the wind mode on storm track Doppler radar there. Near County Road 407. This is not at producing a tornado stage, but kind of like what happened with the storms that moved through Tupelo, that moved around Manhatchee, that produced that damage up in the Prentiss County. There was a time frame there where it looked like it was going to do something and the warning hadn't come out. We're in that earlier zone. This isn't as healthy at this point, but we're getting closer to that at this time. Watching it closely, I'd say it probably stays a little bit, obviously it's going to stay east of Houston, more on a track. Let's put a storm track on this that would take it between Okolona and Holka, more toward the Van Vliet community. And so storm track on this, the rotating part of this, still keeping that about 25 miles per hour. At some point, if this held together, Pontotoc would be conceivable that it makes it up there. Certainly Van Vliet, 18 minutes, Troy community, 40 minutes, 54 minutes into Zion, and 63 minutes into the Pontotoc area. John, I'm going to bring you in, our meteorologist John DeLusick here, as we continue to figure out what's going on, what people are experiencing. Social media, damage reports, have we had any?
No damage reports. Nothing that has come across. Well, other than the one that you mentioned earlier. Was it 363 or somewhere in that area?
Yeah, it was near.
Yeah, that was the only one that talked about. Beyond that, it's been just a lot of pictures of ominous cloud cover and heavy rainfall and videos of heavy rainfall. And,
a lot of those coming in, obviously, from Tupelo. Folks looking at the same thing we looked at of our tower cam. This picture coming in, WTVA 9 News sharing this one here just a little bit ago near the Academy Sports there. That was that area where we had the updraft rotating, yes. Did it produce a tornado? Maybe, maybe not. One of many photos that y'all have sent in. Everyone doing what I don't like here. Appreciate Nanny Nadingham that sent in this picture here of one of those dark rotating parts as it moved near the Highway 45 corridor. A lot of safe place selfies. This is what I want to see, especially if it includes your dog. Cameron sending in that picture there. A lot of other ones of the low-hanging stuff. Bathtub, always a good place as long as it's on the outside wall of your, inside interior portion of your house and doesn't share an outside wall. You always want an interior windowless room. Appreciate I Am Prather for sending in that one, what we call a safe place selfie. Use that hashtag, and you can see a lot of those on your screen there. I appreciate folks for doing that. New tornado warning coming out in the last few moments here for Alcorn County. That in effect until 2:45 p.m. That tracking the same thunderstorm that has had that history of producing tornado damage when it was in southern Prentiss County, and reports of damage damage, tornado or not, still what we're trying to assess, when it was in Itawamba County. That storm north of Boonville at this moment, let me get it to the latest scan here, has it north of Boonville by a few miles. I'd say if you live in Boonville proper, now obviously there still might be up here on the north side of town some Boonville area codes where it says a Boonville address, but we're near the Gaston community there. This heading northward, paralleling Highway 45 still. This is meteorologist Matt Laubhan alongside meteorologist John DeLucic, the entire WTVA news crew, including Zach, our guy in charge of the web, who's pointing at a TV on Facebook Live right there as we're tracking tornado-producing thunderstorms. At least in one case, we've had reports of tornado damage out of this